All right, good evening, everybody. Wow, great crowd. Thanks so much for coming out. My name is Corey Costello. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator for the City of Tehachapi. You're hearing from me tonight. Key Budge is our Community Engagement Specialist. You'll be hearing a bit from him as well. And we've got some special guests from Johnny's Take and Bake. Eddie and Amy will be joining us a little bit later. We'll talk about their successful rebranding initiatives that they've gone through and their social media presence as well. So first of all, I'm going to pass around the sign-in sheet. We just like to know who's here and your email address, because at the end we'd like to email you just a quick kind of survey as to what you liked about the class and we can improve if we need to. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. A little bit of my background, not only serving as the Economic Development Coordinator for the City of Tehachapi, I have a lot of social media experience and brand marketing with my time at both radio stations in Bakersfield and also Cal State Bakersfield Athletics, where essentially their social media platform when I was hired there in 2011 was nothing. And so organically, I helped build that up. And today they have a pretty robust social media presence, which for them as a small institution competing at a major level, it was very important to kind of reach fans that way without having a giant advertising budget. So that's where a lot of my experience comes in from social media. And I found as I switch roles and do something a little bit different, that a lot of those things still apply to our small business owners. And the idea for all this kind of came from talking with some small business owners, and a couple of them that said, oh man, I don't have time. Because you all know you're so married to the day-to-day of your business that you think, oh, this giant social media, I don't have time to do this, or I gotta have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Boomerang, TikTok, all that stuff. Like, you don't need all of it, and that's what we're gonna talk about tonight. And so I want to welcome you once again, and we kind of titled this Social Media for Small Business, Yes, It Can Work for You. And it's really important, I think, first of all, to have a plan. Because when you all started a business, you had a business plan, right? Maybe you sat down with a financer, maybe you sat down with a partner, and you put together really your business plan, right? It was the basics of what you wanted to do in your business. And so the same is true for social media. It's best to not really chase gut feelings and whims. You want to have a social media plan. And so that plan needs to essentially convey who you are, what you do, and why folks should do business with you. We're going to talk about brand loyalty this evening. And what that is, essentially, there's been studies that have shown people don't just go to the same restaurant because they like the food. That's a part of it. But when they think about choices, because we have a lot of retail choices, restaurant choices, business, investment choices, a lot of people have found, the studies have shown, that they're more inclined to do business with people they follow on social media because they feel a personal connection to that business, because they've opened up a different portal other than just that sales portal. So they get to really know this business. And so there's some brand loyalty created by a presence on social media. So let's talk about that plan and some very simple guidelines for that plan. This came from Hootsuite. Hootsuite's a social media platform deck where you can link multiple accounts. You can do one post and it can go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that kind of stuff. And there's a few of those out there. I just used this Hootsuite example because they did a social media study recently, and this is what they came up with. They come up with this SMART acronym. And first of all, it's not just about getting likes or getting shares, but really coming up with goals that actually have an impact on your bottom line and profit. So first of all, they talk about specific. A specific goal is going to help your business. I want to use social media to help promote X, or I want to drive an online loyalty platform. So come up with a goal, not just, I want to increase my sales 400%. Well, that's not super specific, and is that attainable, which we'll get to as well. So maybe create a small step goal. I want to have X amount of followers by this date. And so coming up with something that makes sense, it's very specific right away. Measurable, and Key Budge will talk about that a little bit later in terms of analytics. But what analytics do you have in place in your business? Is it shop visits? Is it customer profiles? Is there, do you have a way to get information from your customers and that sort of thing? So, and there's some social media analytics available out there as well, which Keith will touch on a bit. So you can pull customers on their usage. You can find a way to sort of organically create that audience. Maybe it's a special online. Come in, show this Facebook post, get a few % off, whatever it might be. So those little measurable ways to sort of track how you're doing it. A lot of the social media platforms, Facebook in particular, are very good about insights and analytics, and Keith will talk about how to sort of use those today. Attainable, that goes back to what I mentioned before. Don't just say, I want to be on social media. Okay, well that's an easy checkbox once you open your accounts. Or I want to triple my sales. We got to find a small goal, just as you would in your business plan. Because in your business plan you said, I want to reach this point by this date. Well, that same sort of concept works for your social media. I want to get to this point by this date, this many followers, this many interactions, shares, whatever it might be, by this date. And then one of the big ones is being relevant. Are you providing content that speaks to your audience? And it's not just, are you posting, cat videos when you're a donut shop, right? That's not making any sense. So can you use the data you have on your current clients to build more relevant content? Because you can find the interest that, obviously people, if they're coming to you, they've got interest in what you do. So how do you relay that message to them and be relevant to both your business, but also relevant to what your customers are looking for? And then timely. And that's probably the biggest one that small business owners have an issue with, is keeping your pages up to date. Seasonal as well, pertinent to what's going on. You go to a Facebook page that was created maybe by a business and has been updated in like 2 years, right? The pictures are old. The last update says June 2017. And you're like, you kind of doesn't put a lot of confidence in that organization, because you're thinking, well, they're not really on top of it. So what are you working on? What are you learning at the same time? People like to know if you've gone to a class, if you've learned something, share that with your audience on social media. So that's kind of a timely aspect of all this, and we'll talk about content coming up. But are you staying relevant? Are you staying timely? Are you updating it on a regular basis? So a big and real simple, easy way is to think beyond sales and come up with that marketing strategy. And what I talk about, if there's one thing you really pull from this today, is don't just sell me, tell me. As a consumer, as a customer, don't just always be selling me on something that you have, that you're offering. Tell me how you do it. Tell me who you are. Tell me what you're learning. Tell me what you're interested in. So don't just sell me, tell me is a very easy way to sort of figure out a real easy strategy. Know your brand, know who you are as a business. How do you make, and what do you do to make the products that you make and serve? Rule of thumb on this sort of don't sell me, tell me, 80% of your posts should inform, they should educate, or entertain your audience. About 20% should sell your products or services, okay? I think a lot of times people think, I gotta drive sales, so I need to advertise my specials, right? I need to drive client visits. I need to sell a house, if you're in real estate. So I'm just gonna keep posting about these houses I have for sale. Well, that's great, but what about some other stuff? What else is going on in real estate that I might want to know? Why would I want to choose you as an agent, right? Why would I want to choose you as somebody I'm going to do business with or come and do work at my house? So there's more than just going out there and selling. So 80% should inform, educate, or entertain your audience. 20% should sell your product. Because sales are a great example. Yeah, post a sale. You're having a sale on something at your retail location. But what are you going to do when you don't have a sale? Do you not have any content at all? Because you're just thinking about sales. What happens when the sale's over and it's time to continue to build that sort of brand loyalty? And a part of that is the algorithm that Facebook uses, and all social media sites actually use it. So when you go to Facebook now on your phone or your tablet, you're not getting what's most recent. You're getting all kinds of posts based on who you've interacted with in the past. It's the algorithm they use to figure out what is most relevant to you. And the things you interact with the most and the people you interact with the most are what pops up at the top of your timeline. Now, there's a way to go into settings and figure and say most recent and all that, but most people don't know how to find that. Instagram's the same way. Instagram's algorithm is a complete mathematical just mystery. How they get that. But the same thing happens. They go by relevancy to the end user. So why you want posts that are engaging and people are maybe they're answering your question, maybe they're liking, commenting, that sort of stuff, because the more they engage, the more your posts are going to pop up in their timeline as something that's the most relevant to them. So the question for a lot of folks and small business folks, especially people in Tehachapi and our sort of greater Tehachapi trade area, is where do I do this? Because it can be overwhelming, right? As I mentioned earlier, I have to have Facebook, I have to have Twitter, I have to have Instagram, I have to have a LinkedIn, my professional clients, I have to have this. I mean, before you know it, you probably name 10 social media accounts, right? And not everybody has time for all of that stuff. So there are two simple platforms that I believe serve the Tehachapi market best. They're very simple, they build brand loyalty. Two of the most popular ones, Facebook and Instagram. The good news is they're owned by each other, and so they talk to each other very well. And we'll get to some of the demographics in a second, but with those two platforms, you can catch two completely different audiences, and you catch a lot of crossover audiences. They are some of the most downloaded and most frequently checked social media apps. Now, there's a few others that could be a little more special, but these two are some of the most popular. We use Twitter at the city, and we have a Twitter. We use it as more of a news feed. We get like zero interaction with Twitter. It's Facebook, and then Instagram is secondary, and he's been trying to build that up, but Facebook pretty much rules locally, and that's a national trend as well, and we'll get to that in just a second. So Facebook, why is it still, don't believe the hype. You'll hear, especially young kids, oh, no one uses Facebook. Facebook's for old people. Well, 69% of people in the U.S. use Facebook, okay, of adults in the U.S. Of that, 74% admit to checking at least daily. More people, they do it multiple days or multiple times during the day. And this came from the Pew Research Center. Every year they do a social media study. And they find out what apps are popular, how people use them, what they use them for, and this is what they recently came out with. So 54% check it multiple times a day. So as we see, Facebook's still relevant, it still rules the roost nationally, and I think that trend is very consistent locally, because we look at these numbers, we see the Tehachapi demographics. 18 to 24-year-olds right now, this is the overall, so 18 to 24-year-olds, 75% on Facebook. 20 to 25-year-olds, 84%. 30 to 49, 79%. You can see these numbers. The lowest is 48% at 65 and older. So these are all the different age demos that the Pew Research Center studied, and all these demos in this gap have some kind of presence on Facebook. So that speaks to how it continues to still be relevant. Almost every demo survey has at least 65% usage. So with that in mind, how does that sort of apply to Tehachapi? These are some demographics from the city of Tehachapi from the HDL Insight we had done in May of 2019. So 25 to 54-year-olds make up 53% of our population. Now, the reason why I bring up that particular demographic was during my time in radio and media, that demographic, 25 to 54-year-olds, we called the money demo. The money demo was important because the money demo were either right out of college, just starting their career, they were also working a career, and they were starting to get to that age when they started thinking about retirement. So these were people that covered a broad spectrum, had a lot of consumer buying power. Sometimes they had to be frugal with their money at the younger end because they were at the beginning of their careers, or they were in really that first phase of life where they had money. So we have about 53% in that demo. And again, if you go back, that's a very popular Facebook demographic. And then 25 to 34-year-olds, I bring that up because that actually in the city limits is the largest single population, 22% of all, and they broke it up into 9-year demos. Around the city itself, there's 35%, or in that 25 to 50-year-old demo, and then 25 to 34-year-olds about 13%. So on a combined average, you're looking at about 77% of 25 to 54-year-olds in the greater Tehachapi area using Facebook. 79% of 25 to 34-year-olds using Facebook. So that's a strong audience. And that's why this continues to be very relevant. So, as I mentioned before, you'll hear young folks say that Facebook's for old people. They're more visual. Well, what about Instagram? 37% of U.S. adults have Instagram, just below Facebook on the younger demo. It gets checked daily by a majority of those using it. 63% use it daily. And then some of the age demos, 18 to 29, you can see it's pretty high, 67%. It goes down as you get older into these different demographics. So this is the Pew Research Center showing who uses Instagram. So it's right up there with Facebook. It's a little bit less, but it's a little more visual of a platform. But it's not quite the juggernaut. But if you think about it, you get those two. You get Facebook, you get Instagram. You're pretty much covering the customer base in this area. And you don't have to worry about getting too many other things going at once. So these two, based on the numbers, show you. So slightly smaller audience in Tehachapi using Instagram, on average about 10 to 20% less than what we see with Facebook, but that still puts us in the 50 percentile range. So there's still a good audience. And then you think, well, what about all the others, right? There's so many options out there. YouTube, SoundCloud, they killed Google+, but there's Pinterest, there's Twitter, there's a bunch of stuff that's still out there. YouTube is actually used more than Facebook, but see, YouTube is becoming more of a video streaming platform, kind of like Netflix, than it is a social media. So you can use YouTube as a place if you're going to be someone who does some video content. It's a free way to host your videos. We have YouTube at the city. Mostly we just house our city council recordings on it because it's a free database to use our videos. But if you're using video in your business, again, back to that Facebook algorithm, if you upload that video native to Facebook, it will get played a lot more in people's news feeds than you just posting the link from YouTube. Because Facebook, they give priority to their own content. So if you're going to create videos, you can still post those to Facebook and get a better return than posting it to YouTube and then posting that link to your Facebook account. And you'll hear a little bit, for some reason, I don't know what it is, Key and I have talked about it. I don't know why there's some social media experts that think like, Pinterest is the next greatest thing. Like, for me, it's like home improvement ideas. Like, I mean, interior decorating design. It's cool. Like, I don't see, unless you are an interior designer business.
Or selling jewelry or stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it goes back to depending on what you're doing, but again, that reach, it's not all the way there. But if you're doing something that's more visual and you need that sort of, that pin, which goes back to your website, I can see it making sense. But as a social, I don't still see it, it's like YouTube, I don't see it as a social networking site as much as I see the others. And the numbers in Pinterest are less than the 30 percentile being used nationally. So that it's pretty low. Twitter, surprisingly, you hear so much about Twitter. I think part of it is our president on Twitter, athletes on Twitter, but honestly, 22% of adults use Twitter. That's it, right? I mean, it's an easy way for someone to make a fool out of themselves in a short amount of characters, but it really, 22%, that's a very, very low number. I would say it's even less than Tehachapi. It just is not, it's a platform we've tried, we're just not a Twitter community. I think we like to talk too much because we have bigger posts. We can't deal with the 160 characters or less. So we've seen that in our demos and our engagement. So the basics of what you're trying to do is create that brand loyalty and penetration of your message. There used to be a service, it got bought out, it's still out there, Clout.com was something that when I worked at Cal State, I used to use a lot, because what that measured was not only likes and retweets and all that stuff, shares, it actually measured the penetration of your message. How much is your message making a difference to the people that see it? And you can actually compare yourselves. So what I was doing is I was comparing us to other teams in our conference, and we had the highest thumb score because our fans were more active. They were sharing more, commenting more, liking more. And so those services are still out there. I think Cloud still has it. It used to be free. I think now they're subscription-based. But when you get to that level, going back to sort of measuring your message, Cloud.com is one of the ones that we used to use. But that sort of goes back to the figuring out how to create and seek that engagement. And that's where that sort of putting the personality behind the brand, that sort of telling the aspect comes into. It's important to note as well that you're creating that personal connection with your audience, and so you need to go to where they're at. Well, a recent study showed that 86% of teens polled by Piper Jaffray, they do an annual teen study, they expect the iPhone to be their next smartphone purchase because most of what the social media interaction is happening is on the phone. Tablet a little bit, but mostly on the phone, not so much desktop anymore. So with that is an easier ability to create that loyalty. As I mentioned before, 93% of people that follow small to medium-sized businesses plan to purchase from them as a brand loyalty result. So going back to the phone part, think about what your post is going to look like on mobile. Websites now have what they call responsive features. We launched a new website in the city this past year. It's responsive. What you get on your desktop is exactly what you get on your phone. And so think about that. Instagram being one of those things. You have a picture you share on Facebook that's 1920 by 1080. Well, it's square on Instagram, right? Now your phones make it easy because your phone gives you the square option. You can take a picture that's square that will fit on Instagram. iPhone's made it very easy for you. Android's made it very easy for you. So you got to think about that too, though. When you're delivering your message, how is it being consumed? Well, right now they're saying, look, most teens expect, and folks, iPhone is the number one brand in terms of smartphone, and the teens that are coming up to the ranks, they're expecting to buy them next. So that's not going anywhere. So you got to think about how your message is being consumed. So think about those aspects visually as well, because most will be on mobile. And the very last thing I'll touch on before I hand it over to Keith is content is king. That is the absolute biggest takeaway with this social media is content. Everything you do, believe it or not, is content. You might think it's boring day-to-day stuff, but if I don't know your business, it might be interesting to me, right? I might feel for you because, wow, she's really hustling. Like, I'm gonna reward her. I'm gonna go buy something there. I'm gonna go, and so be that kind of content creative mind, and just it's photos of where you're visiting, right? It's something again relevant to your business, but not necessarily always got to be that sale. Because remember, 80% entertain, educate, inform, 20% sell. So content is absolutely key. The preparation, the education, the day-to-day, that's what drives your social media presence. And as a part of that, easy way to get your content out is, again, part of that social media plan, create a social media calendar. You probably have a schedule. You probably have a schedule at work, right? If you have employees, you have an employee schedule. And so as part of your day-to-day, or maybe you have an employee that's trustworthy, put it on them, right? Create a little social media list, because if you know Monday is whatever, maybe Monday's a special in your shop, or people have the Motivation Monday, and what is it, Man Crush Monday, right? Women Crush Wednesday. Yeah, you don't have to use those particularly, but Throwback Thursday, right? You create those posts as well that can fit in, and that's an easy way to create a calendar, just to go by everybody's popular days, but you can create your own. So think about that and put it on a calendar. So then it becomes part of your day-to-day. I got an appointment today, I have this meeting, that meeting, and I'm going to post about this meeting on Facebook. I'm going to post about this event on Facebook today, or on Instagram. And again, we'll talk about how they speak with each other. You can really kill two birds with one stone. So be thinking about that calendar. So get your social media plan together. Think about your 80-20 rule, right? 80% be entertaining, 20% be selling. And then, I mean, an easy way to sell, and I use, we'll talk to Eddie and Amy later, Johnny's, but like, they'll post pictures of food, and they don't tell me how much it costs. I just look at it and go, yeah, I want that, right? Like, and you don't even, it doesn't even say, I don't care how much it costs, because I'm like, yeah, I'm getting that today for lunch. So, those sort of tricks, right? Figuring out how to be informative, but not necessarily always be selling. And then, create that, remember where your audience is at, right? They're going to be on Facebook, they're going to be on Instagram, and they're going to be consuming this information on mobile. So think about those. And then finally, that content piece. Create your content calendar, create your schedule, and try to stick to it as best you can, because you can make it a part of your day-to-day, because it's best to post 2 to 3 times a day, because you want to stay relevant. And you want people to be interacting with you, and then hopefully in the end, that will build that brand loyalty, and then you'll pop up on their feed more, and then social media starts to pay for itself. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Key Budge, who's going to give you the insight and the tricks of the trade, because he's done a phenomenal job with us in the city of Tehachapi. So Key, here you are.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
It's impressive to see the turnout. And I can tell you that Chief and I will hold emergency preparedness, and we'll get half the audience in here. We're talking about being prepared for emergencies. We're talking about social media, we fill the house. Okay. This is about your business and growth. So when Corey approached me and said, hey, can you help me out? I said, yeah, what do you want? So he sent me over a few bullet points and was, yeah, let's get on these. So I thought, oh, you know what? Let's open it up with this. This is what you know that you want me to kind of chat about. So what is content? It's everything. I'll tell you today, for example, I happen to be at our Public Works Department. And I'm talking to some of the guys over there, and one of the guys showed me a picture that he took this morning of the sunrise. And I had our water tower, the snowflakes were still lit going down boulevards. We're transitioning from, through the dawn period. It's just the lights coming up. It was just beautiful. And I go, can I have it? And he goes, oh yeah. I thought it was cool. I was just going to show my wife when I got home. And I go, in a matter of a few hours, it's reached over 4,000 people. I've got over did anyone see it today?
4,300 people reached, 306 likes, 56 shares.
Okay.
There's a picture of the sun. Yeah, right?
That's from a simple phone. You saw something, and you grabbed the moment, okay? Here I'm having a conversation. He shows, I go, please. I go, that's money. I go, that's Instagram. And then I see what Corey talked about is how Instagram interfaces with Facebook, since Facebook owns both. And we'll talk about a Facebook business account. And they interface each other through Facebook business page. Okay, so that's something you want to do. And it's easy to set up your ads and things like that if you want to promote an item. But that's a huge return for us on a post. Now what's there? The imagery. I've got the iconic water tower. I've got our just put up snowflakes, to show the winter themed decorations of downtown. And it sends a message to people, okay, we're transitioning into the holiday season and we're ready. Look at how beautiful it is. So we're sending that message what the city's about. And it's just image. It kind of helps push our brand out. And it just happened to be I was passing someone in the hallway. But you have to take those moments and capitalize on them. So that was huge. How often should you post? We believe at least once a day. You want to be relevant and consistent, okay? If there are some, I probably had like 8 to 10 posts today, but because I had so much information to get out on the city page. There are some, if you look at your feed, your personal feed, and they drive you nuts, and now I hide them, I unlike them because they just bomb me with stuff where I go, you just annoyed me. You sent me too much. So you can make yourself irrelevant by thinking you're the most relevant thing in the world. Okay, so just think about consistency, and we'll look at different date times when your audience hits and how to look at insights. So that's something you want to pay attention to as well. So best practice for the city, we've used and we suggest for small business, video. Okay, you've heard and grew up with 1,000 pictures worth of 1,000 words. Well, video is a million times that. Short videos, you can have fun with it, you can make them relevant, can be to the point, have a variety. One thing I've noticed here, because we've gone all over the board with videos and video styles, if we get too polished and we want to look like we're KERO Channel 23, no one cares. You go right past it. But if it looks like something that's a little bit more homegrown, you just kind of pay attention to it. Okay, those, you see the viral ones, you see the staged ones. We don't want to be staged, but what we want to be is authentic. And we're not about hiring actors to represent us. We're real people. We have a message to share. Keep it short, less than 60 seconds, less than 30 seconds is ideal. 15 seconds is the magic number that's out there right now. Attention, I'm one of these. 50 First Dates, Adam Sandler, you seen that movie, 10 Second Tom? Hi, I'm Key. And then all of a sudden 10 seconds later, hi, I'm Key. That's me, I have 10-second attention span, so you better hit me right away. One thing I see with a lot of videos that are produced for social media, this grand opening lasts 30 seconds. They got music, hey, we're this, we're da-da-da-da-da-da, I'm gone, done. You have me right now, okay? Tell me right from the get-go what you're talking about. Don't waste time. Openings are great, closing credits, beautiful. But I don't care. I don't have the time. I got 10 seconds. You grab me, and I'll stick around for 15 to 20. But if you prolong it, you've lost me. I'm done. But like I said, I'm 10-second key. But really think about video and utilizing your smartphone. There are microphones that you can use with smartphones. Everything is available with iOS capability. They've got steady cams that cost, we're talking less than $50 to get a little steady cam and $50 to get a microphone just to improve. Audio is everything when you get to video. If it sounds horrible, you're done. People don't want to listen. Tuned out, doesn't care what your visual is. If you've got all this wind noise and trucks and traffic flying by, nobody.
Here's one right here, actually. This one is, I think this one is small. I think it was Sennheiser. I don't know which one, I can't remember what this one cost. It wasn't that expensive.
It's probably less than $100. Probably around
Yeah.
70, 90, 90 bucks.
And obviously with the iPhone, you're gonna need your little adapter doohickey. But you put that on, you got enough to be farther away, and you'll get clean sound. And I keep this in my bag because it wraps around its little case.
And you can go on Amazon and just put in, if it's iPhone or Android, microphone, lapel mic, lavalier mic for iPhone or Android, and it'll come up with these best practices. iOS loves to have their own styles. You have to get a little adapter for it. How every time the new iPhone comes out, you got to buy something. They're very much about being proprietary. So audio, think audio. Okay, you don't have to put music under it, but just make sure your audio is clean. A lot of people will just shoot video and then it frees up. You're shooting video and we hear nothing. Talk, narrate it. So when you've got that video and you've got your phone, and remember how you're holding your phone too. Most people go like this, so then you get that very vertical shot, and then you get these blank spaces here. Go full frame. Utilize everything. Now, when you go to Instagram and you shoot the full frame, it cuts it down to a square. So just know that there's a difference between shooting something for Instagram and shooting something for Facebook. So if you're shooting it for both, make sure your object in this video is centered, because it will condense it down and make it a square. And you don't want to have half your person shown on Instagram, and I'm talking to you and all you see is this half of me. So think about that, experiment with it. But utilize the phone, narrate, do your own voiceover. People want to hear what you're seeing. I too, I didn't tell you about my background. I worked radio, TV back in the 80s. That was my college background. Left, went into public safety, and I was wrapping up my public safety career. My passion was radio, and I wanted to go back. So I started to go back into radio, and everything changed. Okay, so I had to learn, what was relevant with social medias and how to be engage my radio audience utilizing social media to draw them back where I wanted them. So I know, we've got with newspaper. Okay, newspaper, digital presence is huge. You want to send them back to the newspaper, but how do you do that? You've got to get pieces of the pie. Okay, so your digital audience is a piece of the pie, and you're sending them somewhere. Scheduling posts, we'll get into that. Has anyone here never scheduled a post? Honest? Honest, never scheduled a post. Okay, so only a handful, that's good. So the rest of you have scheduled a post. How many have scheduled a post? All right, okay, and there's some that aren't sure what that maybe means. All right, so we'll get to that. We'll show you. And how do you interact? Okay, city government. I get a comment that just comes out of, boy, it's lashing. Do I want to get into an argument with this person? No.
Let me do it for you.
I appreciate that. Okay. And what has changed over the last several years? What we've done is our audience has said, hey, the facts aren't right what you're saying. And they've straightened out and shown what we've been presenting to be real and making sure that you're fighting for us because you believe and you trust what we've been sharing in our transparency, okay, is real. So once we've got that and the confidence with our audience, we get to work together. And then we quiet some of those that have that just love to be the keyboard warrior. I'm gonna hate this today, and I'm gonna hate this. Okay, so you can change the tone, but you have to be the leader. You have to lead by example. Okay, so understand that. Don't get into it. Tit for tat, any arguing, you gotta try and ignore it. That was one of the things that we talk about all the time is let it go. Let it go, it's done. We got a new post, it'll drop down in the feed. And then all of a sudden now, if someone says something that's negative, that's fine. It drops down, usually doesn't get any attention, or I'll maybe direct message them. If they have something that's, hey, they're misled, I can point them in the right direction and send them to a link. So I can use direct message or that aspect of social media to engage that person on a one-on-one and give them that individual attention that they're craving. You know, getting them the information they need. So don't be afraid to use your message feature for that purpose. Okay, take it offline. Let your other clients say, no, we've had good experience. We've had some positive interactions here, or whatever it is. We love this business. Your clients will defend you. Okay. So, building engagement. It's not about likes. It's about shares. How many shares, Corey? 50 plus?
56, yeah.
Oh my gosh, 56 shares of a picture of the sunrise. Okay, so what does that do? It now exposes our page to 56 other people's audiences. Huge. Now, how many more likes do we get out of that? How many more followers do we get out of that? Okay, they might go through our page and see our events. So there are things that happen with shares, so you really want that. That's part of the engagement model. And then pitfalls, make sure you're true to yourself and don't try and mimic something else. I hate stock images. It's one of my pet peeves. You know, you go to iStock and sometimes it's necessary, but sometimes it's like, everyone knows. I've seen that 500 times. It's just got your business name on it. Take the photo, go out and capture something that says what you wanted to. Okay, that's about being original, and people start to realize that you're not just handing off something that's fake. This is how we communicate. It's about pieces of the pie. Okay, so when you look at the pie, if all we were is on Facebook, we've got almost 8,000 followers there, which is great because we've got a population a little over 8,000. So we've got a deep penetration into our market, so we're happy with that. But it's not where everyone communicates. Not everyone's on Facebook. So we have to utilize Instagram. So now we're closing in on 2,000 followers organically. We've spent $0 on that. That's just organic growth using tags, hashtags. Now, since I mentioned hashtags, has anyone here had a bad experience using a hashtag? You make sure that before you post something with a hashtag, where you like hashtag Tehachapi rocks or you better make sure that it hasn't been used in some illicit actions where all of a sudden now you're telling your people to go follow this crazy whatever it is. So make sure before you use something that you've actually researched it. So hashtags could really destroy your brand, but it also can draw in other people because that becomes a search criteria. You can say, hey, I want everything that says Tehachapi on it. So that's one I will use is Tehachapi. So in your social medias, we live here, I want to see everything that says Tehachapi. You put in that in your profile as an interest category, and then it'll pop up. So that's when you're using hashtags, it can work for you, but it can really work against you if you don't pay attention. So make sure you research it. For us, some of these are not relevant to you, but this is everything we talk to our community on. Nice thing I like about YouTube, like Corey said, we can house all of our video content there. It becomes a library. So if someone asks for something, I can just send a link to that video and not have to copy it or send it down. A little different for government versus private business, okay? But it works for us. Plus, it plugs into our website really nice. And we have our Facebook, do we have Instagram interface on the website as well?
Yeah, there's a follow there, yeah.
But YouTube is like plug and play. It's like so easy for your website. So if you create your videos, it can be something that's there as well as your Facebook feed, so you can constantly talk to your audience. Twitter, gosh, we had a Twitter account before I came on board, and we're up to 479 followers on Twitter, which is nothing. It's there, people interact with it, but it's not primary, it's a secondary for us. But there's a little piece of the audience, there's a little piece of that pie that we capture every time we talk to Twitter, so we don't want to lose a piece of pie. Okay, we want as close to 100% reach as we can. Breaking news. Okay, we send press releases out about information, events, like tonight's event, this was a press release. You as businesses can send out press releases as well, things that are going on in your business. Now maybe it won't make the newscast, but maybe it'll meet a special column, a feature. It might tie into something else for you, but you have to talk to the media. And they will reach out back to you, and maybe they're going to want to maybe supplement it with their own, marketing, but it's something that maybe it creates story and dialogue. So don't be afraid to create your own press release and send it. Think about all the newscasts. They always have, hey, what's coming up? What's happening? This business is featured about this. How do you think they find out about those things? Okay, you have to become your own marketing firm, and part of that is utilizing press releases, and you can get all of the press release contacts off the news media websites. So they'll have like an info at, and you just send it there. And they'll look at it and they'll say, hey, thumbs up, hey, it's a slow news day, let's follow up on this, or, say, no, we just don't have time for this, doesn't fit our criteria, it's marketing. So if you get too splashy with marketing and trying to be sales, you're going to not be taken as seriously if you've got something that you're doing that benefits the community. So think about that. If you overdo it, you're just going to be the one that's sending out a daily mailer, and they don't want that. So keep it for something special. Okay. Now, hopefully, it's probably tough for the back of the room to pick up on. This is the business page. So on the Facebook business, how many have a Facebook business page? Okay, good. Oh, excellent. And Facebook is really trying to get you to go that route. Well, it works very well when you start doing your own Facebook ads, and then integration, our Instagram page shows up here. So if I have something that posts, I can actually boost it on Instagram via my Facebook page and manage everything from this one point, which makes it really nice. Any questions on the business page? I don't want to.
Do they charge for that?
No. But it's different. It's different than having your profile page, right. And it helps solidify you in the business category. For me, sometimes, personally, I don't enjoy seeing a business page that's created on a personal page because it's not set up the same. It's a little, to me, it's a little sloppy. So you just have to spend a few more minutes, and to get through the process is not always easy. Yes?
Can I bring up a key point? Sorry, no pun intended. If Facebook finds out you're using your personal page, to run business on, they will shut you down.
Yes.
So if you create a page, you name it after your business, but it's a personal, as you said, the Facebook page you choose, whether you're using personal, business, foundation, charitable. If you do personal, Facebook finds out you'll lose everything you have. But they
Yes.
want you doing a business page because you can boost your posts and they get money from that.
Yeah.
So just be really careful because I've seen people lose everybody, lose
Yeah.
all their posts, lose everything on their page.
And you're starting all over again. You don't want that. You spend this much time, you're investing in your marketing plan, and spend the extra hour it takes to set up that page correctly, and it'll benefit you a
Well,
lot.
and it's annoying too because your business page, you can invite people to like it, but they have to already be your personal friends. So like I create a page and then I invite my friends to like it. I can't invite you because I'm not friends with you from a business page. From a personal page, I can. And it becomes annoying because all of a sudden we've all gotten friend requests from people we don't know and we're like, why do they send me? Oh, they're a business and they just want
Right.
my friend request.
Right.
It's annoying.
Exactly right. And I'll show you what we're talking about with the invites. That's different from a friend request. So it's a business friend request, if you will. But when we start talking about looking into insights, so up on the top, insights is one of your drop downs, and then you can get in and get into all the analytics. But I'm just going to briefly go over a couple. So if we look at our City of Tehachapi page, okay, it breaks down my demographics, and these numbers are probably pretty close to what Corey had talked about community-wide. But we're at almost 70% female for those that follow our page, our 8,000, okay? So we've got 70% female, and then it breaks it down into the numbers. So 18 to 24 is 3%, but at 31% of my market that follows us is 25 to 44. It's a power demo, right? So that's good, we like that. And then and we go all the way up to 65 plus. The 45 to 65 demos at 26%, so 1 in 4 is in that age range that's following us. Okay, great. But you can click over engagement. Who's engaging in your posts? Now, this is where all of a sudden there's a little bit of a shift. We start to see, okay, well, where I've got 31%, that's 25 to 44 female, I've got 27% that actually engage. So I don't have 100% engagement in that demo, but it's pretty good. But when I come over here to 45 to 65, I'm at 34% of my engagement comes from that age group, which only makes up 25% of my number. So that's the number that's engaging. It means they're liking, they're sharing, they're making comments, they're doing something with our post. So you can actually start to look at your market, what your target is for whatever your business is. And then, how do you increase the mail? I did this for the city of Palmdale, and the number was like 90% female, and but we had only women making the content. And I said, I get this is we're not reaching the male demo, and I go, I don't want to look at flowers. I don't want it to be a flowery post. Nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't speaking to me, so I just blew right past it. If you want the male demographic, you got to think about, okay, what's maybe part of the interest? So we actually went out to the motorcycle track out there in Little Rock, and we shot a promo out there, and all of a sudden, our male engagement popped because we did something to engage male interaction. Now, what we saw is we had more engagement on other posts from males too. So we brought them in, we gave them something, and then we held on to them. And that's what you want to do, is you really got to start looking at your audience, who's paying attention, so that way you can drive your business there. I mean, if you're a nail salon, I don't know what your male business is, it's probably 1%, less than 1%. So you want to hit the female side. But if you're selling auto parts, you probably got a 90% male-driven audience. So you really have to kind of gear and skew, the way it is. So think about, which direction you want to go. So we start looking about making your audience grow. This is from the last year. So what we've seen, and since I've been here, a 20% increase in our following year to year. Well, as you get a bigger number, 20% of a bigger number is a bigger number. So we are seeing, but a constant 20% growth each year, which is huge. So right now, as we're just under 8,000. We were at 6,300, 6,200 a year ago. So that's great. Well, my magic goal, Corey talked about having my goal, my personal goal for us is to get them in that 10,000 range. Then I know I've really got great penetration in the city and the surrounding communities. That's about a third of the population. So that's where I start making that goal. So I think probably a year from January, if we follow this 20% trend, we'll be hitting that 10,000 number.
I think we still have more than anybody else in Kern County, right?
As far as government entities, yes. Yes.
More than the city of Bakersfield.
More than the county of Kern. Now, Kern County Fire Department, they have 45,000, okay? But when you talk about the county of Kern, when I talk about just a government entity like us, we've got more followers, okay, than in any other city. And it's just because we're trying to engage and trying to reach our community and not the same message and not the same delivery every single time. So, and then you can start to look on that day. Each of these little dots is a day in the calendar. So we can start to see, whoa, we really spiked over these few days. So I can go back and look to see what it was. Oh my gosh, we were putting up Christmas ornaments. It's one of those, hey, take advantage of a situation. We saw something, and this is Greg and Corey happen to be up. See, now
We've trained Greg.
I've got a crew.
Greg, he knows content now. Now he knows, and he didn't set this shot up. He said, "Okay, take the flag down in one hand and put the snowflake in the other." Like this was that everything is content. Perfect example, right there.
I'm the guy behind the scenes.
There's always an executive producer, but it's about taking the opportunity that's in front of you and recognizing that it's a moment. Now, sometimes they bomb, okay? But when you hit it, wow. And then you start to see the likes, the follows, the shares, and now the rest of our messaging. So the video we shot today with Greg, we recapped City Council. Okay, how many are excited about, City Council? I'm trying to see how many faces I recognize from City Council meetings. Okay, so on our YouTube page, we post the entire City Council meeting so you can see it unedited and uninterrupted at your pace whenever you want to. Okay, but what we also do is I grab Greg, our city manager, and we go out and we shoot a recap. Synopsis. Give it to you in 2 minutes. Because 10-second key is, okay, I'm done. I'm not getting past the opening gavel and moving on. Okay, I don't have it. So we do these recaps, and then we talk about different highlights, and now we try to shoot them in different places. So today we went to the depot because the depot was part of the topic for last night. So we found what could be an uninteresting topic and try and make it more interesting and engaging by taking it outside. People love outside, don't love sitting behind a desk. And then we just kind of go through the highlights. And then if you want to see the whole thing, we got it for you. It's housed on YouTube, and you can see it in its entirety uninterrupted. Okay, and we invite you to do that. But we recap it for you. So with that, we're seeing people that are interested in how government works and want the kind of nuts and bolts of what happened. They can go ahead and do that. And they can follow up by, reading what the newspaper coverage was and things like that. But there's one of those avenues that we can come to you right away and say, hey, this happened at our city council meeting, and we made something uninteresting, hopefully a little bit more appealing. And then we just start to see the interactions. And so what we've got here is every time you post something, and let's say you get 100 likes, hearts, and angry faces, and all these different things. Do you open that up? Do you click on it to see who's liked it or who's hated it? Okay, as soon as you do, you'll see in the right-hand column who has liked your page.
Yes.
Okay? This is something that you want to do because what happens, I found someone here, they haven't liked or followed our page, so I invite them to like and follow. And it grows your audience. And then if this little tiny word says invited, it means I've already invited them. And they're still out on, not sure if they're going to like us or follow us yet, which is fine. But I've sent that opportunity invitation to them. Does that make sense? Okay. You'll grow your audience and they'll interact. And it's kind of it's like a friend request for a business page. So instead of it saying, Kia sent you a friend request and says you're longtime friends or whatever it says on Facebook, this says City of Tehachapi has invited you to like their page. And I do it fairly quickly so the City of Tehachapi is still in their mind, even though they're not a follower. So, like today when I looked, I probably had about a dozen on our sunrise photo that I was able to invite them, and they followed back, and they said, yeah, they either followed or liked the page. I don't care if they like it, as long as they follow it. That's all I care, as long as I know I've got to build an audience following. So just by clicking, where the hearts are, it'll say, X amount of people, so-and-so, and 75 other people liked your. Click on that, and then you get the whole drop down of who's there. And then hit invite. Okay? Any questions on that? That's a big way to grow your audience. Your videos will be categorized. You can create playlists and all kinds of fun things, but you can feature a video too. So when we go back and we should look at our video library where we try to post at least one a week, just talking about what's going on in the community. You can also make it a featured post, so it's always, the top one. So we might have one like when the PSPS stuff was going on, all the shutoffs, we had one that just talked about, hey, make sure you sign up for the Edison alerts and do this, and a couple of safety tips. Well, that we featured, during that time period, so people would write to our video page, it would be one of the first things they were introduced to, even though we had 7 other videos that had been produced since then. Any questions on that? Pretty easy. Events. Has anyone used the events, created events for your business? Excellent. Okay. We will do it even for, say like the museum. The museum, I helped them with a little bit of increasing their market. They had 25 followers a year ago. We're up to 350 right now. What we did is we created every time, they're only open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from noon to 4. So on Friday, it became an event, and we scheduled it. So that way, there was a picture from the inside, and boom, it popped up. Okay, I did a little marketing for Triassic Vineyards. Same thing. It says, hey, you got your wine and dine, let's make it an event, let's make it pop up in people's feeds, and we scheduled it so that way it would show us something that's relevant. Okay, but utilizing your events and then scheduling those posts. Anyone has not scheduled a post? Okay, scheduling makes life so much easier. Because what you can do is with your post, and I think I scheduled a few today. Matter of fact, I did. I'll even call it when you see it pop up on Thanksgiving, it's a happy Thanksgiving message. I want to make sure that was, I got that done today. I had a little bit of time. But it's irrelevant right now. But on Wednesday afternoon at 5 o'clock when City Hall closes, or 5:30, it's going to pop up wishing everyone a happy Thanksgiving and reminding that City Hall will be closed for the next few days. We'll see you on Monday. Okay? But I got that done today. Okay? Because you can schedule something 6 months out using Facebook. So it's a great tool to use. So, let's see here. And then with the events, it'll show 3 of your events on your Facebook page. And then if people want to look in and see everything, they can click the see all and get the entire list. Yes?
Where do you find the scheduled posts on there?
Your scheduled post is if you're on the business page, it's under publishing tools. So you can create your post, and then what happens is it says, if you'd like to schedule it, go to publishing tools, and you click publishing tools, you lose everything you've done, and you start over. But publishing tools is one of those on the top of the top bar, and you can have your publishing schedule. So you get your post, you're going to hit the little drop down where it says share now, but you hit the drop down and it says schedule post. Okay, so you hit your schedule, pick your calendar, date, time, and schedule post, and boom, it'll pop up there. So then on your front page, it'll show you have 8 scheduled posts. And then you can look at it to make sure that everything is still relevant, or if you need to update something, you can still edit it. Yes?
Are you able to do that when you post via your phone versus only on
Yes.
on your computer?
No, you can't.
This is on your computer via. not-
Right, I did it, those are some desktop images, but I do it from my phone. Yeah.
And just double check, as Keith points out, when you schedule a post, either it's on that social media calendar or you review it, because there are numerous occasions where somebody had a scheduled post and maybe there was a news event that happened and they schedule a post the next day, and it's like, wow, that was poor timing. The NFL last Thursday, the Myles Garrett fight, the guy hit the guy with the helmet. The NFL apparently had a fundraiser scheduled to raise money for a foundation, but they took a bunch of game-worn jerseys from that game, and they were selling them. Well, the post was scheduled the next day, and it came out the next morning where it said, Myles Garrett game-worn jersey, benefiting such and such foundation, and it was like, and this was the NFL, right? So this is a giant organization, and somebody scheduled a post and then didn't go and change it after he made a fool of himself on Thursday night. So those things, be careful about those. Keep your scheduled posts either on a calendar, as he says, keep it on. Just making sure you're still relevant.
When you go into Insight, something else you can look at is your audience, when they're paying attention, what time they plug in, okay? And you'll start to see every day, Monday through Sunday, what time. Oh, at 8 a.m. I start to see a spike, the curve's going up. Okay, by 3 p.m. and then by 8:39 is when, for me, for us, we see the most people are plugged in from our followers. So you can look, when you get into Insights, you can break down the posts, and you can start to look at your page views, the people on the different options that are on the left-hand side. But one of those things to look at is what date times, so you can schedule your post based on when your audience is paying attention. So Chief and I have done where he'll say, hey, bicycle safety is really important. We want to make sure we've got messaging going out. So we'll schedule a series of safety posts for pedestrians or bicycles. So I kind of like to start to do it on a day that we don't normally post. So Friday morning, maybe it's going to be Sunday night. So if we're talking about the school traffic, maybe it's that Sunday evening. So the parents are thinking, oh, I got to make sure, the little kids are, I've given them a little quick safety speech before they walk to school tomorrow. Okay, so you think about when is your audience paying attention and the message that you're about to share. So with that, the other thing that you can do is you can step on yourself. So you can schedule that post. Say I scheduled my Thanksgiving post, 5:30 Wednesday afternoon next week. It's scheduled to come out. What if all of a sudden we have something that breaks, and there's something, we've got a huge water main break, there's not going to be water service to a neighborhood, and I've got to put a message out, and it happens at 5 o'clock that day. So by 5:15, all of a sudden I've got the message up, and now all of a sudden that's going to get stepped on with this feel-good post. So I have to go make sure I'm looking at my scheduler to make sure that I'm not stepping on something and pushing it further down, the feed. So then I go in and reschedule, hey, I'll have to come on at 8 o'clock tonight. So those are the things you want to look at. So always keep in mind that scheduler. And I'll keep a spreadsheet too of what I'm posting, when I'm posting. So when we start talking about our branding message, say maybe it's public transportation, I know how often, so I don't constantly bomb you with the same image every single week. So I use that scheduler to make sure we get through. So here is one that we did. Okay, on the police side. Okay. Talking about code violations isn't sexy, it isn't exciting, but it can be visually stimulating if you have the right images. So the code enforcement guys went out and they took pictures of the violations they said were their top 6. So we created a flyer, thanks to South Street. And this was sent in our water bill to homes. And then we also utilized it for social media to talk about the messaging about how we wanted to improve quality of life. These things have an impact on more than just the house that is a mess. The neighbors, people across the street, as you drive down the street, the perception you get. So we went on a social campaign of putting these images out, and all, we got positive response. You know, or maybe there was people saying, hey, don't forget about this house over on this street. You know, but I mean, it created thought. And then what do you see? You start to see people making sure, ooh, my yard's, and maybe I need to tidy my place up. So it creates that engagement, the understanding, the things that are being talked about, dealt with, so it's not a surprise. So you can support things that you're doing that aren't exciting, but you can make sure that you get it out there. We pushed out the Ring program. Our goal was 100 of these devices to get placed out in the community. Okay, so the whole program, you know, got put together and went out. Well, and what we did, using our press releases, our social media, and creating our own video on how easy it is for Ring and how it works. We saw at the end of this 6 weeks of marketing the program that we saw from 892 homes that were registered as having Ring in our area, with a goal of just adding 100. That's what City Council approved. We actually added 465 homes, so a 50% increase in what the market was to where we ended up. Okay, and why is that? Because we were educating the people, on the public, on the program, and then even though they didn't have a $100 subsidy, they still saw value in it and said, I want to feel a little safer, I want to monitor my home from my smartphone, my home from my phone. So we saw a 50% increase in how many cameras were installed in an area just based on doing our marketing plan of social media, creating video, and press releases. So it depends on what you're doing, but you can see, you know, a big movement with a little effort. So that'll wrap up for mine. Yes, question?
I've been playing over here, it's been a while since I scheduled a post. Unless you have a separate app, you can only schedule posts from the desktop. You can't do it from your phone.
You can't do it from your phone.
Facebook pages.
You have to have a Facebook page as bad as your app. You have to
Yes.
have that other app to do that.
So great point there. Everyone hear that? Okay, it's the Messenger app is what allows you to schedule. Yeah, it's pages. So it's just an app that you can add, and it allows you to schedule.
How does this apply to your small business? And I want to welcome up here because I grew up in this town. I think Johnny's Steak-N-Bake's been around since like the 1990s, right? But then they got some new owners and they rebranded Johnny's Steak-N-Bake using quite a bit of social media. So I got some stools, we're gonna have a little fireside chat. So we can bring up the owners, Amy Langston and Eddie Rivera will join us. And we're gonna go through some of their best practices and what they've sort of learned and what they do with Johnny's Steak-N-Bake. So a lot of what we talked about, they do a phenomenal job. So first, we talked a little bit earlier about, you know, don't just sell me, tell me. And like, this is an example of some of the stuff they do. So this literally, I mean, it's perfect, right? I mean, they're a pizza restaurant, but they go into that emotion of dreams and that sort of stuff. So it's not, but they're not selling me a pizza here. But I'm thinking about pizza now because that's what they went with. So what are some of the things that you guys have used, like initiatives that have benefited from social media? Was it just, you know, people simply knowing you exist, or maybe was it used for product launches? Because you do more than just pizza, sandwiches, kombucha, garlic bread. So what has been, you know, what initiatives have been really successful because of social media?
Well, it was pretty easy rebranding Johnny's because it was already something that a lot of people already liked. So in that aspect, we didn't have to do too much to the original recipes, but we wanted to just bring extra value to everyone as best as we can. So we added in things that other people might like sandwiches, salads, kombucha, because since we're a take and bake, in the summertime, a lot of people don't want to turn their ovens on. So what we try to do is have the other items and be able to present those to people when business isn't as booming as it is in the wintertime. People are more likely to cook the pizzas and stuff. So we try to implement a lot of other things. But what we basically do on social media is instead of just trying to constantly try to sell your product and bring all your deals and then shove your deals down people's throat, people can tell when you're trying to sell them something, they can sniff it out. So what we try to do is basically just act as your own media agency. So you kind of just want to be entertaining, but also be informative if you can. Post pictures that are aesthetically pleasing, but don't get too caught up in the production value of what you're doing, because you don't have to be a photographer, you don't have to have a professional camera crew following you around, documenting all of your what you do. You just want to be relevant, like you said, be entertaining, and try to stick to your business. You don't, like you said, you don't want to post videos of cats playing with yarn if you're like a printing company or something like that, unless it directly involves something that you're doing. So.
Well, we talk about the 80-20 rule, right? And you guys seem to be even less than, I would say, less than 20%
Yeah, that's
sales.
what we try to do. We try to just possibly bring as much value as we can, whether it's pictures, what we're doing, new products, without actually just trying to get everyone to just buy.
Yeah.
We just basically, the best thing you can do as a small business running your own Facebook or Instagram page is just try to bring as much value as you can to the end consumer.
And Amy, we talked about this a little bit, but talk about your, and Key mentioned it, but your interaction with customers. Because you guys, you can see on this, like, you do a lot of interacting with the customers. When somebody throws you a compliment, you're right there. So what do you how do you work with the good comments, and then even the ones that rarely happens might have a bad experience?
It's really hard not to interact with the bad comments, honestly. And again, building an audience when you get a bad comment. There was one, for example, we were closed and I forgot to shut down my online ordering. It's fairly new to us. And we kind of got bashed pretty good by the one or two people. And then there was just a flood of people that kind of like had our back, like, well, they've been advertising that we've been closed for a while. So building your audience, and then not engaging with the negative comments. We had a lot of our following that was able to do that for us. But yeah, we try to engage with a lot of customers as possible. Just gifts are really fun to use as a form of just responding, because it's more, you're painting the picture of exactly how you're trying to respond, and
It's that personal connection that we talked about.
Absolutely.
We were mentioning the relevancy, and I mean when I think fall, I don't think pizza, right? I'm thinking comfort food, it's Thanksgiving, but you guys set this photo up, and this was, it was like, whose favorite season is fall? And oh yeah, by the way, there's our pizza. Again, they're not telling me how much that, pepperoni with onions and garlic is gonna cost, right? They're just sort of selling that, so, without giving me a price. So
Literally grabbed all that stuff out of the front yard.
yeah, everything is content. This goes back to what we mentioned before. Everything is content. You can create stuff with just things around you. You brought up photography, and I think you have a pretty good eye. I mean, these are some of the photos that, it helps when you have like somebody who's super photogenic and can make a photo look awesome. But you guys, from product shots to even, pushing the kombucha line, talk about your photography a little bit, and you have a little bit of experience, but there's ways. Some things are cameras, and some things are phones that you're using.
You don't necessarily need a digital camera to produce images like that. Most new smartphones have really good cameras on them, so you can use that. And then there's other apps, like there's this app I use called Lightroom, Photoshop, where you can throw your photos in there, adjust lighting, the color, contrast, texture, all of that stuff, and it makes your photos look like it could potentially have been from a digital camera. So it's not always, like I said, it's not always about production, as long as you're trying to bring value and bring context to what you're posting.
And even like the dough ball. That's that day-to-day stuff that you guys are like, oh yeah, you're mixing a dough ball again, but that's a content piece.
Everything is content. Don't judge it before you put it out there. Don't overjudge the production value, and it's not, don't worry about the judgment of whatever post. Everyone starts out with 0 followers and 0 likes. So don't worry about, the engagement you get when you just start out. It'll pick up. And then the more, I think you should put out, you don't just have to go for quality, but quantity leads to quality. So you're not going to start out professional, photographer, throwing all these awesome posts out, but if you just keep putting out content, you will get better, and it will start looking better over time. So quantity will lead to quality.
Amy, when you bought this place, you took over, as I mentioned before, a business that had been here a long time, and it was pizza. Now you have made it a brand now. So how big of a role did social media play in helping you sort of do a pretty, revolutionary rebrand of this business?
Huge, really huge. In the beginning, I was overthinking it so much. Like, I would put, I'd have like a yellow background, and I just put so much effort into creating this post and putting stars on, I don't even know, and then throwing pictures and coming up with paragraphs. But in the Facebook post, you can't read all of that, and people don't have the attention span to be able to, hold the attention for that post. But eventually, so I've owned it for, it was 2 years in September. The first year of slowly getting into it, but once you start doing it more and more, you get a lot better at it. And he follows a few people that are really successful, and he actually tells me, look, you need to do this, you need to do that, and he's like, you know what, I'll show you. And he starts throwing posts out, and then we started seeing a return. Hey, I saw this on Facebook. I'm like, you're a wizard, it really works.
Don't judge what you're posting before you put it out, because I even put a picture of like a little cup of like tomato sauce, and I thought it was gonna get no reactions whatsoever, but for some reason everyone thought that was super interesting and wanted to comment on it. We had like, 15, 20, 30 comments on it, and I was like, how does a little picture of a sauce get like?
Well, you guys also, and this is another way to sort of build that audience, is you'll do a lot of, whether it's a product shot, and you'll say, tag somebody who will, would eat this pizza, or tag somebody who puts pineapple on their pizza, and then they end up tagging, and again, that goes back to the people that maybe aren't your audience, but someone else's audience went ahead, tagged them, and that added in there. And so between that, and then also you do a lot of surveys and interactive stuff.
Yeah, people love jumping in on polls because they feel like it's their chance to like vote on something. Like just even today, I posted something like, "What would you rather? What kind of mood are you in today? Sandwich, salad, or taco pizza?" And everyone wanted to put their 2 cents in. So when you ask questions, when you're asking your audience questions, it's a lot better for engagement.
And speaking of engagement, you're on multiple platforms, and Twitter being one of them. But what you do interesting is you'll take the Twitter posts and put those on Facebook. So if you're asking a question, and again, this goes back into the humor aspect of it too, the entertainment. I can't turn water into wine, but I can turn pizza into breakfast. And so you're able to really take 2 platforms and get more reaction with your tweets sometimes by screenshotting and then putting them on Facebook.
Yeah, you can. You try to use as many different platforms as you can, because as you know, attention from 5 to 10 years will shift. So when it shifts from one platform to another, because you all know who still here has a MySpace. You know what I mean?
It's still out there.
So it's just good to get different skill sets from as many different platforms as you can, because then you can cross over platforms, but you just got to make sure you try to stay contextual to that platform. So Twitter is more of just like a few word, a little gist of whatever your thoughts are, and then you could just transfer that over to Instagram and Facebook. But when you do that, you don't want to just keep the same caption at the top of the post. You want to make it contextual to that audience. So Instagram's like a lot more laid back. Facebook's kind of like in the middle between like laid back and like the older crowd, not so much of the younger crowd. So you just want to stay kind of contextual to the platform that you're trying to reach.
we were talking about social media scheduling and having a social media plan and a content schedule. You guys are fairly busy on social media, so what is your content schedule like, and how do you prioritize your social media work? I mean, has it just become part of your day-to-day?
Anytime you think you see a piece of content, just take a picture, and you don't necessarily have to make the post then. Like you said, you can schedule in. So maybe one day you run into like 20 pieces of content where you're like, oh, this might be a good picture, that might be a good picture. So you can just take all the pictures the same day, and then you got content for like 2 weeks.
And what about the video? I mean, you guys have used video a little bit.
A little bit. I need to get a lot better at that. That's something that we definitely need to work on, for sure.
Yeah, and so, but even now, you probably have, because you've done so much, a lot of photography, you probably have some of those same photos can actually turn into videos down the line, right?
You can make like slideshows, and you could crop 2 photos together that you've already posted, and just ask your audience which one they like better. You can just, you can always use old content to make new content as well.
Absolutely. Again, these folks, if you need to follow their stuff because it's entertaining, and I just enjoy most of the comments like that. Pizza sticks to you through thick and thin. Crust we trust. Any questions for this group, for us in general? Anything from this evening? Yes, sir, in the back.
Not so much a question, but one time I was out hiking and I was on my phone and I seen there was pepperoni pizza. I called the order right there and then. I'll be there in about 15 minutes by the time we get back to my car. That stuff does work, and especially their videos when it's cooking in the oven. Man, you can't help
And that's super low production. It's literally, we have a cooker. I just try to get as close as I can. I zoom in so I don't burn myself. And so, like even just small stuff like that where you're like, anything and everything is content.
I made the comment before. There's no other sandwich shops in the audience. Okay, good. Think about it. They have the best sandwich in town. The Turkey Club is unreal, right? And that I found out because you posted a picture of it one day. Someone at City Hall went and got it and said, "You got to try this." And I went, "Oh my God, this is the greatest sandwich I've ever had." And so that's how. And again, this was a picture of the sandwich. It was even like it's a special today. So that kind of built that sort of like that loyalty. Yes.
I just want to say, I interact with Johnny's quite a lot, and their posts are fun.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and I think that's where they're very successful, because the posts are just a lot of fun, and you end up interacting with them, and I can walk in, and she knows my name and my wife's name. That's also important business.
Yeah, and
for anybody.
You guys have a little more leeway to have a little more fun than like Key and I do with our posts. I mean, believe me, we could have fun with our posts, but then people will be like, "What are you guys doing all day? Like, what are we paying you for?"
Snapchat.
Yeah, right. Occasionally they convince an idiot to ride a bull on the 4th of July and post that video, right? Yeah, but other than that, we've got to sometimes be a little more serious. So,
But actually, that would actually get people involved in the government to make it look like it's fun and not a grueling hour-and-a-half session on Monday night every other.
we try to strike that balance. It's tough. I mean, the first snow days or something like that, we'll get a picture. Key's video last year, the first snow, monster, and it was just, it didn't have much of government. It was just Tehachapi scenery, and so we try to strike that balance. And you guys have the advantage of being a little more fun than we can. So, in the back.
I have a question. The presence on social media is definitely out there, and it's grabbed activity. But how does that relate to your business? Does that activity actually generate more business for you? I know it does, but
is it measurable?
The amounts, or as far as percentage, or?
At first I would put a post and I would expect everybody to see it. Like I would just think that, oh, everybody's watching Johnny's and like this is the post. Everybody's gonna be in on Memorial Day showing their badge for a discount, or not Memorial Day, sorry, Labor Day, showing their badge for a discount, and not one person showed up. I'm like, Okay, but the more we built our following, the more we started making posts and got better at them, because you start out from somewhere and then you get better. We have a big following now, and we actually start seeing a lot more people return, people coming in and saying, you know, I would ask them, I ask them too, that's my way of gauging it. You know, how did you hear about us? And actually, I saw it on Facebook. A lot of it is word of mouth, but there's a smaller percentage that is from social media. But it's building a customer, getting a customer, they're more long-term instead of a quick sale, and that's huge for us.
Okay. So kind of keynoting on his comment and your, which would you prefer, the taco seasoned pizza or the sandwich? Now that you guys are more successful and have more feedback, are you kind of predicting like, hey, we need more taco meat if we run this post, right? Like,
Not
and
necessarily.
the feedback's
It's
been
more
positive.
just for entertainment, just to give everyone a quick laugh. And like I said, you want to just bring value, which it can be any way from. If you're not such a camera person, if you're really good at writing, you can even go to your notes app in your phone, write a couple paragraphs or whatever. If you're that good at writing, take a screenshot of that, post it. People will resonate with that. So you want to lean into your strengths. If you're a camera person, do that. Start with that, and then, or if you're good at photography, or if you're good at writing, you just want to kind of lean. Or if you're good at talking but you don't like being on camera, you could even like do a memo over a picture, or you just post the memo to Instagram or Facebook so people can hear it. Or you want to be self-aware and lean into your strengths, and don't try to work on so much on what you're not good at. You can always outsource those things, but lean into your strengths, what you're good at, and then when things that you're okay at, then you can build on those things, and then it will just like start to evolve. That's how I found that I had like a little eye for photography, and I had a camera, so I didn't start out, if you've seen some of the first pictures of food I took, you'd be like, what is that? Like, but over time, you just keep, leaning into your strengths and what you like and what you naturally attracted to, and it will start to show in your content.
Do you boost posts, and if so, do you have a budget?
You should boost posts often as possible and use every last penny you can right now, because right now, Facebook and Instagram marketing, running ads is underpriced right now, and obviously it's free to just post regular content. That's cool now. So you want to take full advantage of the free real estate right now of just posting for free. But anytime one of your posts gets a little extra engagement, you want to put as much money as you can into that in a post. And you can even, there's different ways to run ads. You can either run it like then a 5-mile radius, 20-mile radius. So if you're a local shop and you don't necessarily have a product that you can sell online, you can run an ad specifically that's like 5, 10, 15, 20-mile radius. If you put as much money as you can afford possibly on there, then you will start to see people who have no idea you even existed walk into your shop and be like, I lived here for 25 years, never have been even thinking of coming to this section or into your shop, didn't even know you existed.
You can grab people that are passing through. This is one, when I used to travel a lot, I would be on Facebook on my phone, and I'd have a real estate video from a house. Maybe I was in Boise, Idaho, and there was a sponsored ad would show up, be a real estate video of a home in Boise. Well, that ad didn't just say people living here who says Boise, Idaho. It was like anybody who's here on the app right now, passing through. So if you're targeting that from the real estate industry, maybe, you have a house that maybe you think someone in Bakersfield might like because maybe they want some horse property. Maybe you're going to target that ad to Bakersfield, or just targeting people coming through, they're visiting. They check their phone while they're downtown, and all of a sudden, wow, this ad. So there's ways, or even being a shop owner, that kind of stuff, trying to get the people that are just visiting is doable as well.
On that note, I think it's important for people to understand, you might have 1,000 people that like your page, but depending on how many interact, so you might think, oh, I did this great post, nobody showed up. It doesn't mean everybody saw it. Just because you have 1,000 people that like your page, Facebook looks at, are they interacting?
That's the algorithm.
If they're not interacting with you, they don't even see it. Facebook doesn't even, that's what the boosting is so important. Facebook does this on purpose. They want to make some money. So they won't put your ad in front of people who like your page unless they've been regularly interacting with it. So if you boost, Because they'll say, you want the person I saw boost because you can choose your audience, choose the people who like your page. I'm like, well, why would I pay to boost the people who like my page? They already like my page. Oh, they're not seeing my stuff. So you do want to look at they Facebook will give you very specific target audiences. Sometimes it just says, just show it to the people who like me, you know.
And a couple quick notes. If you share something to your page, you found something that was cool that someone else is doing, make sure you comment on top, you give it a header because it makes it interactive to your post and it makes it relevant in the timeline. If you just share something without putting on, today's Tuesday or whatever, hey, I love this, thought you guys might like it, that makes it relevant and it pops up into the feeds. If you don't, the algorithm can just dump it, okay? So understand that you need to make a little comment when you share. Just don't randomly, share. And the other, if you're gonna start to play with video and say, a lot of people get nervous. I forget what I was gonna say. There are teleprompter apps that are free in the App Store. And we've used them here at the city for those, because now everyone's pretty comfortable doing video with me, but early on, not everyone was comfortable, so we could use a teleprompter. So we could script out everything that you wanted to say, and then it would just roll right here as the camera's shooting you, and you were able to read it. Same for the iPad. So there's lots of great apps to help enhance your marketing.
Yeah, regarding the boost, and I'm talking about a nonprofit stage. Sometimes I go on there and say, for $25 you can boost your post and reach 100,000 people. And I'm thinking, my first thought is, they're pulling my leg, 100,000 people. Now, there's not 100,000 people in this area. And is it really going to boost 100,000?
Well, they're giving you a broad area to start, and then you can drum it down. They're giving you probably a max.
30-mile radius.
Yeah, they're probably giving you a 30-mile radius, which would cover that, right? But you then, when you select it, you can actually change, no, I don't want to be 30 miles, I want to be 10 miles, within my area. So that'll shrink it down. Yeah, 4 to 5
down that low?
Oh, yeah, you go down $1 a day.
Oh,
Sometimes
I
I might
know.
say, you don't have enough reach. I don't think I've ever spent more than $5 on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, thanks, because see, on our nonprofit, I want to reach more people, but I don't want to throw $25 at
No. They want you, the bigger audience
have a
they
budget.
pitch you, the bigger audience they pitch you, they're going to charge you more. But if you hammer it down,
You can customize the demographic to the age group you're trying to reach. And then you can set yourself up with multiple profiles. So I want to reach audience 1. No, this is for audience 2, audience 3. So you get into the insights when you start to do that, and you can build your audience and be specific so it's not thrown away at just the world.
This is a huge amount. I mean, this, for us, nonprofit, just coming here tonight, this was worth it right here. I mean, it was more than that, but it's huge for us.
yes.
So I didn't know what I was doing, so I did our business page as like a personal, because I didn't have a clue. And it's been like 5 years, so I didn't even know that you're not supposed to do that. So I have thousands of followers, so am I gonna lose all those people, or how should I transition them to a business page?
Tomorrow.
Do a boost?
Tomorrow, get into
Do a boost?
your settings. No. You're going to be able to transition it to from that page to a business page.
And
You
not
can
lose
create it.
everybody?
Yeah, you're going to want to get in there as soon as
Thank God.
possible.
I'm like, oh my God.
Because when you get too big is when Facebook starts saying, wait a second, there's too many people on here. This person is not that popular as a person. Thumbs up.
Yeah, but it has our business name on it, so, okay, so
Yeah.
it's in settings on the personal page?
Yeah, you should be able to get it in the insights, go into settings. You can even Google, how do
Okay,
I
I will do that.
transition
Okay.
my Facebook personal page
Thank
to a
you.
business page? Now, Facebook, I actually talked to somebody at Facebook. Because everything is like through the chat room, and I finally just kept sending, this isn't working for me, okay? It's not making sense. Call me. I got a call. I didn't get a call that number.
Zuckerberg himself.
Yeah. But I actually got to talk to someone. We walked through this business page wrangling of it because we did it a year ago plus. So it was kind of early on in this phase, but you'll be able to do it.
On
You can Google it.
Instagram,
You can
I
walk-
can. Is Instagram the same thing? It has to be a business Instagram, or just Instagram is Instagram?
Your Instagram, I believe, can be your
Instagram at this point.
Instagram's
And you
Instagram.
can, and then you can take your @Dorner Vineyards, whatever yours, and then add it to that business account, and
Okay,
then
yeah, because I
it pops
just
up.
click switch and
Yeah.
it sends it over to Facebook. Okay, thank you. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just Googled it. Facebook added the ability to convert your personal profile page to a business page.
There you go.
If you don't convert your profile to a page, you will run the risk of permanently losing access to
I know, that scared me
All
enough.
being Facebook.
So just Google it and they'll walk you through how to do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask about check-ins, like when you're at a place and checking in and getting customers to check in. I love Tehachapi, I check in. When I go to a place for kombucha, or I was going out of town and I checked in at Fulford's because I brought apples to friends, things like that. Is there a way to encourage people? Yeah, but I mean, how does it affect your business for check-ins? That's what my question was. Like when you're at a place, check in and you tag in. Is that the same, or-
I haven't gone, I see there's so, X thousand people have checked in at the city of Tehachapi, but it doesn't give me something to pursue for us as a government entity to have that value. Maybe as a business it might, but for me, I haven't seen the value on that. I think it's cool that hey, we've got 8,000 people that have checked in the city of Tehachapi this month.
Well, because earlier you're saying in restaurants, like our restaurant, we offered a discount if you post your page on Facebook when you're eating here, it reaches their people, but I just.
It definitely shows engagement because, it's like at City of Tehachapi, so it's going to show that there's someone's made a reach out to us.
Okay. And in the summer months, my friends, they use their Traeger for your pizza.
Something you can do on Instagram is you can go to #Tehachapi or go to places and then Tehachapi. You can find people checking into Tehachapi. They may not necessarily live here, or people hashtagging Tehachapi. And you can, if you follow those on Instagram, if you go in on there, sometimes I'll do this a few minutes every couple days or something. You'll see a lot of people coming in. Tehachapi, #Tehachapi, with a picture of like a wedding they just went to, they're not even from here, but you can go in and just put your 2 cents on there, and then people are just like, wow, this business just hit my page up, and they're just like, wow, I didn't expect that. Then you either get followed or you'll just be in the back of their mind,
We had a guy one time we saw, he was a #Tehachapi or something, and it was a wind turbine post, but he was on 580 up by Dublin, by the Bay Area, and he just, I don't know, he thought he was in Tehachapi or something. So and I think we actually were like, nah dude, this ain't Tehachapi. This is the other part where windmills around the state, If there's nothing else, I want to thank you all for your attendance, thank our guests. I've got cards available if you, anything from me, whether it's social media or small business stuff, but thank you so much. And,